Shake, Rattle, and Troll. A show for the serious fishermen as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros. Shake, Rattle, and Troll, brought to you by Bill Luke Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. I-17 and Camelback Road since 1927.
Yeah, we got the power, we got the speed. We're running wide open on a midsummer breeze. Freshwater, saltwater, watch out, boys. Bass Daddy Don's gonna make some noise. It's me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and...
Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman, the man that fears no fish, Bass Daddy and Tournament Pro, Don McDowell.
Welcome to Shake, Rattle, and Troll this morning. Yep, I am Don McDowell, and I am here with our resident voice of moderation and reason, the JK.
Well, congratulations,
AK Special K from the ADA. I have to tell, I just love that vest.
Thank you.
I can hardly see him with it on.
And that's our resident pole striper, snatcher.
You see, you almost did it. Pole striper.
I got to go there. We have in the house with us our bass professor, Jerry Tate. God love you. Thanks for coming down.
Glad to be here, Don. Nice being here.
You haven't been here forever.
It's been about a year.
About a year.
With my notes that I found here.
Really?
I've got to get to that point where I come once a year. He's an honored guest. We recognize him as the sage from Pleasant. Derek is here weekly, and he talks about the tater said. The tater said. Yeah. You're an honored individual.
Well, thank you very much.
We have a very special guest, Captain Troy Gibbons from the United States Army and American Hero Adventures. We're going to talk about that. We'll be talking to James Guggenauer, 8:30 on the Rim Country Custom Rod Fishing Report on Roosevelt.
By the way, he won the award last night as best dressed.
He did. He's vying for a commissioner, and he looks more like a commissioner than
most of the commissioners.
Yeah.
Ain't saying.
Well, I didn't want to say that, but it was going to pop out.
Yep. He looked awfully dapper, and he's very distinguished looking. He carries himself well. We have gotten him to the point where he is now educated on all of the issues.
Mm-hmm.
So,
is he on medication yet?
I'm hoping not. No. He does not need the same type of therapy that you and I do. But he's in pretty good shape.
It's strange you should bring that up.
Oh, here we go.
So somebody asked me last week if I had gone to therapy lately, and I explained, no, I have to go to group. Oh, do you like group better than individual? I said, I'm not an individual. I am a whole group of people and I have to pay group rates all by myself. Yeah. Let's just say. So let me finish this up. We roll call today. We don't have any soldiers killed in action in theater. We have lost one of our own, Noreen Clow. You will know her from National Conservation Director for BASS. We'll talk about that at roll call time. Other than that, I want to thank you guys for showing up at the awards banquet last night. It's an honor to have. Excuse me?
You didn't introduce your other guest.
Yeah, he did. Patrick, you're having one of those moments.
You don't recognize the captain? No. You don't recognize that build, that haircut, that finely shaven face? I mean, dude, this guy's got captain. He's just dripping with his captainness.
I thought so. Unfortunately, he's wearing the blazing Oregon logo, which I love Oregon, and I just wish they had been able to take care of business last week.
Why can't they call Ducks? Are you kidding me? From Oregon? Why can't they call them the Angry Beavers or something?
That's because Oregon State.
That's the arch enemy of the Ducks.
Yeah.
It is?
It is.
Oh, yeah.
Civil War, Beavers versus the Ducks, biggest game of the year, other than the Rose Bowl and the national championship.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm having to relook at my history lessons because there was something about the Coast Guard and haircuts and tattoos and all that kind of thing, and I reminded the commandant that you guys started out as pirates. They did.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they were pirates,
mercenaries. Yep. Absolutely.
And then what?
I like that. Well, they got converted and they took away their eye patches and gave them a whistle.
They became Obamanized.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They're part of the bureaucracy now.
One thing I learned at district training, You cannot make an Obama remark in a Coast Guard class. They get extremely pissed.
How in the world could you walk through and sit through a whole class without making any reference to that?
I couldn't. I didn't. And I did.
And that doesn't
So
surprise
you were in trouble,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
as usual.
I passed muster on the haircut, but the tattoo, raised an eyebrow and the whiskers, you know. How'd you get to be a captain? I mean, doing what you guys do is just like, are you kidding me? Regulations? What?
I kept my mouth shut. Did what I was told.
There's a theory that we both need to look at on occasions.
Wow. I need some tutoring.
You need some tutoring. What would you like to be tootled on?
Toodle?
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
We haven't trademarked it yet.
We added toodle to the SRT dictionary. He's talking last week about tootling around the lake, and I'm going like,
What?
Yeah.
Tootling?
We killed him with that, and then all of a sudden here, out of the mouth of babes, comes the word tootling.
That's
Tootling.
so funny.
It's a real word. Are you from Texas?
No, I'm not. I'm
But
from
you
Oregon.
spend some time there. See, through osmosis, your Southern grammar takes over.
You just kind
Whether
of
if you
rub
know
it
it or
off.
not.
you know?
Yeah.
Came out of the hospital walking and saying y'all.
Y'all.
Yep.
Oh, y'all. Oh, heck yeah. Good stuff. Anyway, tell us a little bit about your background, Captain.
I was injured in Afghanistan in December of 2010. My vehicle was struck by a deep buried IED.
Injured is a understatement, sir.
It is an understatement, but a brief overview of my injuries were a broken pelvis in 4 places, broken femur and fibula, ruptured intestines, and massive bleeding and multiple lacerations. And through my extensive rehab at Fort Sam in Texas, I was able to walk again, which at one point they did not think was possible due to the extent and the severity of the injuries. The structural integrity of my body was severely compromised. And after coming home and rehabilitating it at home and losing my father and getting back out in the woods where I had grown up, I found hunting to be a form of rehabilitation.
Nice.
So I made it a mission to honor all those before me and who served with me, to show them the outdoors and take them and their loved ones to go out and go hunting and fishing all over the world. Show them that there is something out there, that they don't need to sit behind the TV, drink beer, play Xbox, and pop pills. They can get just as much excitement out there on the woods.
Well, I know you've heard it before, but thank you for your sacrifice and your service.
Your patriotism and your commitment means a lot to us.
We try. One question, the Hummer that you were in took a pretty serious hit. Did they fix it?
No.
Done.
No, they scrapped it. It was in
That
the
was the
boneyard.
biggest pile of scrap up. I've seen these videos, and it's man, that was something Wally down at Bill at Chrysler Jeep and Dodge in the body shop couldn't fix. Man,
No.
that thing was over.
No, that was a pile of metal and rubber. And,
It's a wonder anybody survived that.
But necessity is the mother of all invention. And,
It is.
And war breeds necessity and breeds invention. And they came out with these amazing vehicles that
Was that one of the aftermarket armored up, or did it
right?
come up?
Yeah, it was called an MRAP, mine
Yep.
resistant ambush protected, and I was in an MATV, military all-terrain vehicle.
Yep.
And I took a hit from a deep buried IED, lifted the 20,000-pound vehicle 10 feet in the air, and flipped it in 1.5 rotations. Landed in the crater, caught on fire, all sorts of good stuff.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, I was going to say, that'll make your day in the worst way.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of, you and I think we'll start having bad days. You just need to reflect a little bit. I know you're having I feel your pain going through the computer deal. I went that through a week, and I'm still going through it. The new one is it's authenticating incoming, outgoing, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just sitting there looking at it, going, no, I am not doing this.
When you switch from a PC based to go to an Apple iMac, it's a different world. And I was pulling what few hairs I had left yesterday.
That's like going from here to Ferguson, Missouri, stepping out.
Yep, different world.
All right, good stuff. Let's get this thing going. There is an initiative, from what I understand, from Sandy Barr wanting to do away with the governor's commissioner's selection committee and or process. JK, what do you know about that particular effort?
Well, I know Sandy Barr, as well as a number of the green groups, Center for Biological Diversity, Humane Society, etc. When Governor Napolitano was here, she appointed a series of individuals as commissioners that the hunting community we were going nuts. And some of those people I'm not going to call them, let's put it this way, there were people who I thought were extremely intelligent but were not qualified to run a $98 million business. And then a series after that, when she left and we had Governor Brewer went back into the fold, so to speak, and she recognized that hunters and fishermen are the ones who pay for the Game and Fish Department. There is no money that comes out of the general fund to pay for anything that goes into Arizona Game and Fish Department. There's some gambling money that they get for the Heritage Fund, but all the fees and all the costs are absorbed not by the public, but by those people who are hunting and fishing. And consequently, there was a legislative piece that was passed about 6 years ago, and in that piece, it recommended that there were a series of individuals who would sit on a review panel. That review panel then makes recommendations on the interviews that they do to the governor. They submit not less than 2 nor more than 5 names to the governor, in which these people have been vetted by this committee through a series of open forums, and those individuals are her choice. She selects from that group. Well, they don't like the way it's going, and they want to change it, and we'll chat more later.
Yeah, we're going to flip into a break and thank a lot of our sponsors. Bill Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram at I-17 and West Camelback Road. Check out the new 1500 Ram, totally redesigned. And Derek, it has an eco diesel.
I need that.
It will pull your boat.
It'll pull an 18-footer?
Yeah. We'll be right back.
All you uppity women, I don't understand why you gotta go and try to act like a man. But before you go and make your weekly visit to the shrink, you better occupy the kitchen and liberate the sink. Get your biscuits in the oven and your buns in the bed. That's what I do, my baby said.
Yeah, you know, you just gotta love all these songs. There's a little subtle message in there.
There's nothing real subtle about what Jennifer does. You know, when she's in a good mood and she decides to be nice, we get George Strait. When she sees an issue, she adapts accordingly. She's probably one of the quickest hands at turning a music, something that's critical to our conversations, and she does it so subtly. It's just a nice blend.
Nice. Let's finish up with Sandy Barr's latest shenanigan, let's say.
Well, she's introduced in a bill to get rid of the Citizens Review Committee, and quite frankly, based on everybody who I've talked to, it has less than 0% chance of success. And based on our legislature, based on the governor, and based on the fact that there's no support other than those malcontents who are now on the outside looking in. You know, when it was real difficult for sportsmen during the Napolitano times because she was appointing greenies to commissions, as well as people she just felt the need to. And we were the ones paying the freight. Well, now we're the ones paying the freight, but we're also having the review session that we need. So we have those people in line who, we have a rancher, we have a sportsman, we have somebody from the general public, and we have a conservation person in there.
Sure.
So those people all make up this committee, and that's who's determining through a series of public interviews who should be the next commissioner. They're scored, they're judged, and then either two to 5 names are submitted to the governor. That process has worked extremely well. You know, the commissioners who have been through that vetting process include, you know, Mansell, Jim Ammons, Madden, and now the last one. So Regal.
Mr. Zeiler.
Yeah. So with those people who have been part of that process, it's working. Unfortunately, there is a degree of discontent for those environmentalists, and they're not conservationists; they're environmental groups. They're unhappy.
I'm sick and tired of politically correctness. The PC, I want to call it politically corrupt. They're eco-terrorists, John.
You and I can have that discourse off air because we both agree to the same philosophy.
Well, you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah.
We've got a president of the United States who can't use a particular word having to do with jihad, Islamic radicalism, and it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And these eco guys, they want to pan themselves off as conservationists and this and that, and they're
that has always been my biggest issue. When you read articles, they call the Center for Biological Diversity a conservation group, and they're not. They are enviro-litigants.
That's the biggest bunch of whack jobs I've ever been around.
That has been sold to the public. The Humane Society of the United States makes $500 million. There are little old ladies.
Are you tracking on this, Captain?
There are little old ladies out there who are donating money every year to the Humane Society of the United States under the misconception that it helps little animals in shelters. The Arizona Humane Society is totally different from the Humane Society, and people don't realize it.
Them I've had to apologize to.
Oh, yeah. Well, I understand it. You know, when you coin a term like, I'm surprised and stunned, really, that more groups don't disaffiliate themselves from the HSUS. And because the local the local shelters are understanding it now. They're starting to. I'm seeing more and more pieces put out where people are saying, wait a minute, we're not the HSUS. You know, we're the Humane Society of Arizona or the Humane Society of this. But it's cost those groups who really do good works, and the spay-neuter shelters and the no-kill shelters, those people have lost tons of money because the HSUS and Mr. Pacelli, who is their CEO, they have $500 million that they've made. Yeah. And then they file litigation under the EAJ.
Montgomery's all over them. We've got we're going to talk to Doug here after a bit. Doug, his postings, Robert's, some of his commentaries on the HSUS, and
they're good.
It's going to come down hard on him between him and Tom Remington. You know, you get either one of those guys on you, wow, you got a monkey trying to steal your cupcake.
I don't particularly want to be on the wrong side of Mr. Remington.
Negative. So, all right, good. So, how do we handle it? Just
same as we always do. We watch through the legislative process. It's not going to grow any. Quote unquote. Last night, I heard from several people who are in the know. Quote: "It has no hair."
Bam. Game over. All right. Moving along. Tater, what's happening, brother?
Well, the fishing kind of slow right now, so we get to watch the eagles fly around and an occasional...
I have to ask you, have they fledged up in the river?
I do not know.
Make a note. We need to find that out Monday morning.
It's they've got it blocked off. You know, we can't enter there and all that.
Don't start that can of worms again.
But, you know, that's a refuge for those eagles, but it also is a spawning area for largemouth bass and any other species which goes in there, and it rejuvenates that lake very much. And due to the fact that we have situations on the lake where water gets puddled behind little dams, and we lose a lot of fry in the process as the water drops.
I know that very spot.
Right now, it's been holding a lot of fish in it, but even the bait fishers come in there. It's about 20 foot deep in the center of it. So, you know, that dam is, whenever it goes down to the spillway on that, it leaves about 7 foot of water in there, and it evaporates over the summer months. And it really takes a toll on all of the species in which we have in the lake.
You know, Derek's here on the becoming a striper expert. What's your opinion of his fishing abilities? Does he know what the hell he's doing?
Oh, boy.
You know, when we went out the first time, when we first got his license, he didn't know the lake very well. And so I took him around, and we got away up.
Was that last Thursday?
No, it's a year ago.
Okay.
But he has really improved. He's become one of the more individuals that you can ask and get information from, and it is correct. Now, I have to ask this, is he telling the truth? Well, I find that most of the time he is. I mean, in other words, he's right there, and we have to remember that fish move. They're not tied down anywhere, you know, especially on stripies.
And they read calendars.
Yes, they do, and water levels and water temperatures and zooplankton and phytoplankton and all of this other stuff that goes along with it.
Thermoclines in there?
Yeah. Okay. But no, he's done a great job, and I like his aspect, the way he films his clients and everything. It's completely new. And whenever he told me about all of that when he first started there doing it, I said, "Man, you've got the opening right into something that hasn't been done." And I
Nice.
think he's got a long ways to go with it, and hopefully one of these days he'll have a cruise working for him,
There you go.
because he has the potential to do that.
So may I take that as a personal Tater endorsement?
Well, absolutely. You know,
There you go,
and
bud.
the ethics, he is very good on ethics out there fishing. I mean, he doesn't come in on top of you, and all
What?
of that kind of stuff.
That's what guides do.
Well, some of them, you know, the ones that do that don't know how to fish. Simple.
End of story.
Okay, next subject. Guess we settled
Guess
that
what I
one.
know
Right
not
there.
to tick off.
Well, what about this? You know, we can go to the game department and suggest maybe, you know, and I brought this up with jet skiers. You know, they're a nuisance. I hope you're not a watercrafter. You know, if they buzz your bass boat and you hit them with a paintball 3 times, they have to park that for 30 days.
I like that.
Yeah, and I think I'd do the same thing. If a guide boat pulls in, you know, within pistol or paintball pistol range, pop, you have a couple splats on your boat. I can't guide for a month.
I like
Think
it.
about
Yeah.
that.
Let's do it.
All righty, hey, I'm here with
Special K.
Yeah.
Derek Frakes.
Jerry Tate.
Captain Givens.
and the captain. Wow, I'm not used to having rank in here. They clean it up. I should have shaved a little closer this morning. That is the closest shave I've ever seen. I got to tell you.
You get used to it.
You do. You do that with a razor or an electric razor.
I'm lazy. I use an electric razor.
I knew it. Love it. Gotta love it. Have you been down that road?
Several times.
Copperhead Road and Thunder Road. Derek, let me ask this. You ever run moonshine?
No, but I've drank some.
You think?
I didn't run with it. I sat there. I
Oh,
sat
yeah,
down,
okay.
but you know what
All
I mean?
right, well, I'm just checking it, you know. Being from Texas is one thing other than lower Alabama.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing. All right, we're going to flip over to the good captain here. A little more in depth on what American Hero Adventures does. We know what you do, but what it does.
Well, now we're a nonprofit organization run by vets for vets, and the purpose of the organization is to take these folks who raise the right hand and sign on the dotted line to serve not only overseas in our nation, but also community members as well, policemen, firemen, EMTs, federal agents, who have sacrificed themselves
Yeah.
for the cause, for protecting our country and our nation, their community, and to get them out in the great outdoors. Show them that there is rehab in the outdoors.
Now, does this have to be limited to a physical issue, or can it be a PTSD or
Yes.
traumatic brain
anything.
injury, something along that line?
You know, what a lot of people don't understand is I have friends that have gone over to Iraq and Afghanistan 3, 4, 5 times.
Oh, yeah.
They've never been shot,
Captain Frazee, 9 times.
but
Yeah.
you cannot go to a foreign country in combat and come back the same man after 4 years.
No.
They are wounded. It may be in the head. It may be physical. Nevertheless, they are wounded. They do not come back the same man.
No.
So we need to show them that just because they didn't lose a leg or get shot or take shrapnel, that they did lose something ultimately, and we want to get them back. We want to get them back to being the person they want to be. And there's nothing out there more rehabilitating mentally and physically than going on a hunt or a fishing trip. You have to use your brain, you have to use your legs, you have to set a goal, and you have to get there. If you want that big bull elk, you've got to get to the top of the hill.
That's the mission.
That the whole point is to get people out and show them that they can do it.
Nice. You talked about having some javelina tags. Are those left over? You need to do a tag transfer. How are you doing that?
So Arizona has a wonderful program where they allow the transfer of tags from resident or non-resident hunters in Arizona to resident or non-resident hunters.
That's the one we worked really hard on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
okay.
it's
Here's the payoff, folks.
so it's really great because if you're an individual out there and you have a tag that you aren't going to use, you can call my organization. We send you some paperwork. You send us the tag. You not only get the tax write-off for the contribution of your tag, but you get to know that you're helping a vet.
But you get the value of your tag.
Yes, you get the tax write-off for the value of your tag.
I thought about that.
But then you're getting to help these vets get out there. And we had some folks down here in the state of Arizona contribute 7 tags for Unit 36 Alpha for javelina. That hunt is from February 20 to 26. It is a rifle hunt, but you can use any method that you like because it's the rifle season. So what we're trying to do is get some message out there. So if there's any veterans listening who qualify for this program, being physically disabled, and you want to participate, to please get a hold of me on our website, AmericanHeroAdventures.org, or shoot an email to info@AmericanHeroAdventures.org.
We'll get you posted up on the SRT
That'd be
website. Doug's down here from Utah over there working diligently.
And then we can transfer the tags to you. Now, most of these times they're do-it-yourself hunts, but the hardest part is getting the tag.
Oh, yeah.
And we have these tags. And furthermore, now that this program is booming throughout the state, we want to spread the message out there to the rest of the patriots and the hunters in the state of Arizona, or whoever has Arizona tags. Hey, if you're not going to use them, regardless of the species, give us a call.
Yeah.
We will find veterans throughout the country who can utilize those tags. And this year, for elk and deer, we had 16 tags donated. 2 of them for the Kaibab strip. Oh! Yeah. And they got some dandy deer. So I cannot thank those 2 individuals enough.
That is awesome.
Because that's a once-in-a-lifetime hunt for you Arizona hunters. You know that.
I'm a native here. I've been drawn there once in my lifetime. Right. Yeah. You never going to tag up there?
Not at all, Don. Not up there. Never.
Man.
So we've kind of found, and I found through the hunting, that it's an addiction. It's a drug. And it's a drug that you can't get off of. There is no rehabbing from getting on the hunting drug.
No.
So when we see these guys get off the couch, get away from their Xbox, and they go out and they find that they have a passion for the outdoors, for hunting and fishing, they don't go back to that Xbox.
A lot of folks don't get that. Hunting's one of those, fishing's one of those, racing's one of those. I could go on and on. And is that some kind of a compulsive obsession? Is that back to group therapy again, John?
No, people who know me but don't know that I hunt, when they figure out that I do hunt, they try and figure out why. And
they don't get it.
Well, what it is for those who do, and like you and I, no explanation is necessary. For those people who don't hunt and never can, no explanation is possible.
No.
So once you're out there and you have gone through the process, you either are or you're not.
Well, it's one of those things. It's like driving a race car. I've got a racing background, and it is an addiction, and it never goes. You can't cure it.
Mm-mm. Well, let me explain a little something why the hunting is so important. One of the things that a lot of the soldiers and the veterans miss is the environment of the military, the structure, the discipline, and the mission, the sense of accomplishing a mission. Yes. Well, when you think about it, and all those out there listening who hunt and are in the military can attest to this, everything that you do to plan a hunt is the exact same thing we do to plan an operation overseas. We lay out our gear, we check our gear, we do a recon, we talk to the locals, we get all of our intel, we plan, we do logistics, we do routes, we do food, we train. You don't just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to hunt. You need to be in shape.
Yeah.
You need to go out there and practice. You need to zero your rifles.
This guy is obsessive. You know what he's going to do after he leaves here?
What's that?
He's going to put on his shorts and his hiking boots. He's going to be up, down, up, down, up, down, South Mountain.
Well, then that's one of the things. So everything that we do to hunt is the same thing that we do in the military and vice versa. And it gets guys back in their motion, gets them back into what they know, and they can apply all that they learned in the military to hunting, stalking, being quiet, light discipline, noise discipline, reading a map. It's all the same thing.
One shot, one bull.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And it's all the same thing. You just have a different target.
I never had heard that analogy before, but it's very appropriate.
I like it.
It truly is. There's, we are hunters.
Yep.
And that gene is not in everybody.
Right.
Now, this group, it is, but there's a lot of people out there who are not, or who are so disassociated through lack of involvement in that ethos that they forget about it. No, Derek's a hunter. He's a hunter.
He just said he didn't hunt much.
Doesn't matter. He's a hunter because he's a fisherman, and fishing is the same exact thing.
It is.
You're planning, you're reading structure, you've got your gear, all the mentioned items.
How many times have we talked about that?
Absolutely, Don. And another thing is some of us, like myself, I'm originally from Oklahoma, and we lived really off the land.
We have overlooked that for 15 years.
Well, that's okay.
I'm kidding. God love you.
But we lived off the land.
Oh, yeah.
And for us, just like these guys here from the military, one shot. We were given a 22 shell. You better bring home dinner.
Yeah.
And if you didn't eat. And that's all there is to it. I mean, when you go through that and then you get into where we are to now in days, it's, you're still there. Your body, and you go out hunting, it's all about that, harvesting that animal.
Then you still don't want to waste that bullet.
That's right. That first shot, one shot, that's the way to do it.
You know, it's interesting. American Snipers out, story about Chris Kyle, and last week, I think it was on the Discovery Channel, they had a program on about Carlos Hathcock.
Right.
Marine sniper, Vietnam, 93 kills, 2,500 yards, and you're sitting there comparing that, and we've goofing around here a little bit, but the military mindset, that guy, I don't think even Chris Kyle, different situation, different environment, but that mentality is just, you can't breed that into somebody. Mm-hmm. You're born with it. Mm-hmm. It just, wow, just totally amazing. But
it's a DNA, buddy.
Yeah, man. All right. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about roll call for a little bit, and I'll keep going with these guys. I appreciate all you guys being here, and we're going to thank some of our sponsors, and the awards that we won yesterday, John, couldn't have been possible without Bill Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram.
Amen.
Good folks. All righty. We'll stand down, and when we come back, roll call.
White tip, cigar sticking out of my face, Earnhardt racing sticker.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Go Dale! That'll help the Super Bowl, man.
That's good. As long as Jeff Gordon beats him, I'm happy.
Jeff Gordon's not going to do that.
Yes, he is.
He can't even beat Danica Patrick, for heaven's sakes.
Did you take a last look at the standings at the end of the year?
What?
He came second. He came in second, so don't give me that
That's
crap.
Because he was pushing and shoving and being a big baby. God, yeah, come on, JK.
If you ain't bumping fenders, you're not racing.
Why do you think we're not having the Cardinals at the Super Bowl? Now, think about that. Now, I know Jimmy Hoffa's gone. They can't find him. Somebody knows where he is. I know that. Somebody knows. Do you know what would happen to
they interviewed my dad about that.
Seriously.
That day he disappeared, the day Jimmy Hoffa disappeared, a week later, the FBI interviewed
Captain,
my dad.
I need to clue you in here. Okay, you need to track with me on this. He's third generation gypsy, president of the Hungarian Gypsy Foundation. So, I mean, if there's women, children,
or chickens,
small pets, chickens, gone. Are you done?
Nope. But we'll have this discussion later.
Why were they interviewing your dad?
Because we lived less than a mile and a half from where Jimmy Hoffa disappeared, the restaurant. My dad happened to be at the shopping center that day, and they were interviewing everybody and anybody who was at that place at that time. And my dad happened to be there when Jimmy disappeared. Swear to God.
He stuck to his story, didn't he?
Absolutely.
I'm just so you know, put this all in perspective, his dad was a private in the Battle of the Bulge on the ground in the winter of 43 and 44.
Wow.
He will let you feel your shrapnel if he likes you.
He's still here.
Yeah.
Still kicking.
Oh, yeah.
Show his fingers and toes that got frostbitten.
Yep. You know, that's a war I'm glad I didn't have to fight in. I thought it was miserable being hot, but I couldn't imagine being over there in the bitter cold like that and still having to fight.
You look at the I'm getting sidetracked, but the technology you guys have compared to what those guys had is amazing.
Well, they had something that you just can't get anymore. Grit and determination and just a pure badassness.
Yeah, badassness.
I mean, that's all there is
There's
to it.
There's a new word.
Yeah. There are some stories that he tells to this day that are just astounding.
Yeah.
And it's like anything else. If you made it out of theater there after he was there 29 months.
Right.
If you made it out of there without
badass,
serious disfigurement, then God was on your side.
Well, they're the true heroes out there that gave us the ability to do what we do in our generation.
Yep.
Today's roll call is, like I said earlier, for one of our own. Noreen Clowes passed away. She passed away night before last at 11 o'clock. Noreen spent more than 36 years in the natural resource conservation field, including Chief of Natural Resources for the National Wildlife Refuge System, Deputy Assistant Director for Fish in the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, as well as agencies in the Southeast Regional as Director. Following her retirement from the federal government, she spent several years in private consulting. In 2004, she was hired the first time by BASS, then owned by ESPN as National Conservation Director, and served in that position until 2007. She returned to private consulting in 2011 when the new owners of BASS, Jerry McInnes, persuaded her to come back to BASS as Conservation Director. She served there until her retirement, 2013. In addition to cooperating the efforts of BASS National Conservation Directors, of which there are 47 of us, Noreen served on numerous national boards and councils involved in fisheries conservation, including the American Sport Fishing Association, Government Affairs Committee, the TRCP, the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership Policy Council, Berkeley Conservation Institute Advisory Team, and was a member of the Michigan State Fly Gals, the fly fishermen ladies, mentoring graduate students in sport fishing and conservation advocacy. Noreen received numerous honors for her work, including American Sport Fishing Association's Outstanding Fisheries Conservation Award and its Woman of the Year Award, and the U.S. Department of Interior's Meritorious Service Award and the Coleman Outdoors Award. Noreen said on her retirement from conservation work in 2013, "My best years have been those at Bass as Conservation Director. It's been rewarding to see BASS Nation Conservation Program grow and delivering amazing results on the ground for conservation and angling benefits." Several BASS Nation Conservation Directors, including myself, credit Noreen with motivating them to tackle tough issues in their states. We shall continue. Her tireless advocacy for the resource was inspirational to colleagues in the fishing field and the many volunteers that work on fishing conservation efforts. Let me put it this way. If you were a fish, Noreen was your friend. So our thoughts, hearts, and prayers go out to her and her family, and she'll be missed. Awesome lady. I'm Don McDowell. We'll be back.
Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. I-17 and Camelback Road since 1927.
Yeah, we got the power, we got the speed. We're running wide open on a midsummer breeze. Freshwater, saltwater, watch out, boys. Bass Daddy Don's gonna make some noise. It's me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and
now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman, the man that fears no fish, Bass Daddy and Tournament Pro, Don McDowell.
Indeed, we are back for the second hour of Shake, Rattle, and Troll. We're here with JK, Derek.
Yes, sir.
Sitting over there tootling around. The professor himself, Jerry Tate, and Captain Troy Gibbons from
Good morning.
American Hero Adventures. I like that. That kind of says it all. Before we get back into the thralls of that, JK, I want to thank everybody sitting here at the table and Jennifer. We were blessed with the Commissioner's Media of the Year award.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're grateful for that. Very humbling and certainly pretty cool. Pretty cool, but it wouldn't be possible without Bill Chrysler Jeep and Dodge, as was stated earlier. I need to thank. Jerry's been a big part of this show for a long time. You have as well, and I appreciate your involvement. It's arduous to get up on Sunday morning and stumble down here. We're going into 15 years of stumbling on early morning. So, and then our SRT contributors, we've got Jerry. Now is, since he fired us and retired.
That's right.
Yep, that was a big one. Still a contributor. Derek is becoming a big part of the program with his contributions. Robert Montgomery, activist angler. Gene Gilliland, National Conservation Director for BASS. And I don't even... How would you describe Tom Remington?
A curmudgeon with an attitude.
I love that guy.
He is probably as in tune, and we've had dialogue in the past, and certainly he has his pulse through some of the individuals like Jim Beers who have gone through the wars with the Fish and Wildlife Services. Yeah. It's as corrupt as it has ever been, and there's an old saying that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, which is what's happened with our Fish and Wildlife Services. So,
well, it starts at the top.
By the way, last night, congratulations. You gave a wonderful speech, recognition from the department for all of the activities that you've been involved with, and I thought it was well handled.
Thank you. Well, a couple more guys. We've got Rick and Captain Bill and all the guys over at H&M Landing, Reuben Payne up in Alaska, and the commission, and there's a lot of really good people that work at the department that we get to work with, and
no question.
And none of it wouldn't be possible without my wife and family support. So, it's just I've done this without wife and family support, and it sucks. Let's say.
Well, Don, I want to tell you as well, being there and being associated with SRT for the last 4 years or so, particularly proud. This show, your whole agenda has changed over the last several years, and obviously for the good. I mean, I've never seen anybody with so much enthusiasm for your passions. So I particularly am excited, and have always been excited about being a part of your organization. So thank you.
Well, you got recognition, and you and Pat are just awesome. I appreciate your tenacity trying to drag me into the 21st century.
Which isn't easy.
It is difficult.
Don, also want to add a little bit to this. I met you at the ramp one day, and you handed me a card and said, I'd like to be on the radio. I looked at that card, and I got a lot of cards, and I said, man, who is this guy?
Yeah, I get it.
And then about 3 weeks later, I was down here sitting behind this microphone, scared to death, shaking in my boots, because I'd never faced this. I was an invert, and you have pulled me from being an invert personality to now I can stand in front of hundreds of people and do seminars or whatever it takes. And, traveling around to the Bassmaster Classic that we did one year, meeting all of those guys, every one of the contestants we got to meet, and me giving Mike Iaconelli suggestions.
Advice. I love it.
Yeah. He went crazy over the radio on that one. But, it's been wonderful. I really appreciate it, and you deserve that very much.
Well, thank you, guys. That was for everybody. This thing doesn't happen by itself. Pat and Doug work real hard, and JK's over here kicking me underneath the table. I got this, perpetual bruise on my right shin, but it's good. So anyway, having said that, thank you to everybody, and again the commissioners and the department. It's all good stuff. So, all right, moving right along. I want to finish up with the captain here. What's the best way for the soldiers to contact you? I know you mentioned a website, but Doug's going to get that posted up on the web, our
Right.
SRT website. And while you're on there, there's a email you guys can sign up for. Doug does a great job putting out some stuff, some stuff that he thinks, I think, we think y'all need to know. And at the same time, we'll get your stuff out on the email. We work real closely with the Arizona National Guard over on the recruiting side, but of late, I'm not sure who's gonna adopt who, but the 158 First Regiment Infantry Regiment Bushmasters, doing some work with those guys, and then C.W. Ross over at the regular Army guys around the backside of the hill at the Army Reserve, and Major O'Neill down at the 285th Helicopter Attack Battalion. It's really good guys.
Right.
They like hunting.
That's good.
Yeah, boy.
So if anybody wants to get in touch with us to either receive one of these tags or to donate a tag, they can email at info@AmericanHeroAdventures.org, or they can give me a call on my personal cell phone. It's on 24/7.
Nice.
It's 541-968-4170. And then for all of you tech-savvy younger folks out there, we have a Facebook page.
Boy, aren't they?
And
Wow.
and an Instagram, both American Hero Adventures. We post all of our things on there. That's the quickest way for disseminate information out to our followers. And then we have a webpage, AmericanHeroAdventures.org.
Now, this hunt you have, is that the general hunt or a ham hunt?
This is a general hunt, and this is February 20 to 26.
Yep.
36 Alpha. And one of the benefits of Arizona is just because this is a rifle tag does not mean you have to use a rifle. You can use any method of take.
John, you can use a bow mag.
No, you can. Yeah, you could. You could.
Yeah.
You could use a bow mag. Thank you.
So have you used those yet? Because
No.
I want to see what they do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that brings the fun back to archery.
That's point blank range with a 357. You can't beat
Exactly.
that. So yeah, so they could use a rifle, a shotgun, muzzleloader, handgun, a bow mag. I'm not sure if they allowed at Rattle here, but if anybody wants to try it, more power to you.
You could.
Ooh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's the challenge if anybody out there wants to. But actually, there is a challenge that I will issue. Governor Meade from Wyoming and I issued this past year, and this is the Sportsman's and Patriot Challenge. Everybody out there wants to get into the new tech-savvy, high-end guns with scopes and optics and lasers and rangefinders and all that good stuff. And, well, that's all well and good, but here's the challenge. I want you to use an iron sight military rifle for one of your hunts. Try to bag your game using that. And that will show you the difficulty that the military members for generations through multiple wars have had to go through.
That's what I was raised on.
Taking a bead on their enemy. So make your target your enemy. Use a military iron sight rifle, M14, M1 Garand, 03A3, Enfield, anything that you can think of with iron sights, and really test your skills. It's just a challenge. See if
There
you
you
can do
go.
it.
I have no problem with that.
Yep.
So challenge has been issued.
I will challenge you back.
All right.
Wow, that's good stuff. Boy, have you seen the price on M1 Garands?
I have, and I'm glad I got mine before the boom.
Man. We'll be right back.
You ought to be.
All right, we're back. All right, Mr. Toodler, Derek Franks, the striper snatcher.
Yes, sir.
Stripers are a little bit tough to catch this time of year. We all
Yeah.
know that.
They are.
What
But
we
I'm just as hard-headed as they are.
Yeah.
And I think the key to it is you've got to be more stubborn than they are. And I think I can do that.
I don't believe there's anything more stubborn than a Texan.
That's right.
What do you think, Tater?
I agree with you.
I'll find a way to
Any
make it
thoughts
fly.
on that, JK?
Certainly watching him flog water. No,
Yeah.
no dispute.
Flog.
That's what he does. I have
Okay.
seen that boy in action.
Okay, we have tootling, badassness, and
And
flogging. Okay.
I don't think any of those would get us reprimanded. I hope not.
I thought flogging, isn't that a jihad type thing?
No,
Okay.
not the way he fishes.
Get 1,000 flogged? Nah, that's a Coast Guard thing.
Sounds
Back to the
like
pirates.
a largemouth bass bait. I want to get a skirted flog. Sounds like it.
You and I were talking last time you were here about 2-ounce rattle traps. I was mistaken. I have 2-ounce Cordell spots
Okay.
in
And
a trout pattern.
I've got some 1.5s, and they're 4 3/4 inches, I believe, in length.
Yikes.
Yeah, that'll get the job done. Looks like a chrome hubcap, half a hubcap.
Yeah,
down
there you go. Throw baby moon.
Yeah.
All right, so what's your secret? Either one of you guys, you're the experts out there on the Pleasant Home Lake.
Well, Jerry and I went out last week, and what we noticed is fish are in deeper water and they're suspended, which makes me think that they're moving. And my secret right now is I'm going to try to catch some live shad, and I'm just going to drift with the south wind in the northern part of the lake that I know. And if you stay in the river channel, I feel like you'll always see a fish in the river channel. So I'm going to fish those transition spots where the river channel will shallow out on one side or another, particularly a wind-blown side.
Are you tracking thermal climbs?
Yeah. And Jerry and I have noticed it's been changing a little bit. The night temperatures have been higher than what it was last year.
What's the thermal climb right now?
It was right around 25 feet.
25?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you have another one. You actually have two, and then the other one is about 10 foot down, which is all the zooplankton and phytoplankton
Right.
are really gathering there. And you do have shad shallow. Every shad are a species that can go very deep, and they can go from deep to shallow with no problem. They can do it. And we noticed that there was some bait fish down there, and we was looking at this one area, and there was 85 feet, and he says, Jerry, we got cuckleburs down here. I says, there's no cuckleburs here. And I got up there and looks like it, but I'll tell you, that's fish. And he says, oh, yeah? So we just kind of circled around a couple bit, and we dropped a couple of spoons down there and some baits, and all of a sudden it's just like the bottom rises. And we couldn't get them to eat.
No.
Yeah.
We
It
done
was so
everything we
frustrating.
could, but it was so thick with fish, it was like the bottom just rose up 15 feet, and it was solid. They were so tightly schooling right on the bottom. It's
Sounds like-
unbelievable.
And that was
JK,
as close as we got.
are they describing a spiritual?
It seemed
It
like
was a
they were
vortex.
rising up.
Yeah, we were on top of a vortex is what it
Oh,
was.
yeah, man.
But yeah, that's what they do this time of the year, and they are very difficult. There is shallow stripies. There's always shallow fish.
Always shallow.
Always
fish.
shallow. We can go up there, but it is harder to get those fish because they're in the cuckleburs, they're in the trees, and they're in all of the
Well, you
vegetation
kind of
around.
started the cocklebur thing.
Mhm.
You know,
Well, that's true. It's
I've been schooled in the art of finding cockleburs.
Cockleburs don't mix well with throw nets. I
They
can
don't,
say that.
and they don't work well on plastic worms.
No.
And they would highly annoy. You remember Barry Lewis?
oh, absolutely.
They take those cockleburs off your soft plastic and go boom. It's like throwing a little
Velcro dart.
ball of Velcro. Thunk.
Not good.
It's true.
Yeah, not good.
But Jerry talking about, the good size striped bass in shallow water, you just have to be willing to fish where nobody else will.
Yeah,
You've got to take your boat and go to a place that other people just flat out won't take their boat.
that's hard to do these days.
Yeah, well, I know a few spots that some people look at me like I'm completely crazy for trying to jimmy my boat in there. And
You mean besides the five of us in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you, but the back of Humbug right now is at an elevation where there's a lot of trees that come into play that hold a lot of fish, but you will you will have to get a couple scratches
What
on
is
the boat.
the,
You donate a lot there, don't you?
Yeah.
What's the elevation back in the Humbug? Where are we in relation to, let's say the
dam?
Yeah.
Okay, 1684, somewhere around like that.
16,
You looked at
yeah.
this morning?
I did, and we're at 83.5% level. So
Wow.
I'll pull this
Yeah,
up and
at
we'll see.
1680, that's about 86.
Yeah, full pool's what, 1702?
1702.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we're at 1687 right now, and they're still
Okay.
pumping a lot of water in.
Yeah.
And also, we have to remember that they're pumping water in, and also these rains are pushing water in for some of the streams. And once that starts coming in from
Yeah.
the Agua Fria River, it's a magnet for
Yeah,
stripey
John,
bass.
this is one of the few lakes that has two currents, one running north, one running south.
And it's crazy. Whenever they change these current flows, the fish don't know what to do. It's just like the sun coming up in the west to us. That's how I describe
They're
it.
confused.
And they get confused. And most people, they'll fish the same thing they did. All they have to do is just go the reverse. If the water's coming from the south, from the dam, fish on the north side of every point, cove, cut, trees, everything. Whenever it switches around, they start pulling out, change directions. I'd like to make it as simple as possible. You know, depth, speed, size, action, and color. And that's the 5 elements.
You need notes.
Yeah.
Write this down.
If you make that an acronym, it's a lot easier to understand.
Thank you.
There's the military background right there. I
There
knew
we
that
go.
was
Sounds
coming.
cooler, too.
DSTP. Okay, yeah, I knew that. Yeah. Depth,
we get it.
size.
Well, you know, we're looking at all the wildlife. We was talking about the deer. I know the deer population around Lake Pleasant has dropped off, too. We don't see
Burro
it.
City.
Oh, yeah,
Still
a lot
got
of
that
those.
pattern.
They
Burro
make great tacos.
That they do.
Well,
When we used to harvest them.
that Tom, I was talking to Bucky out there yesterday. The Tom is still monkeying around. He's back.
Good. Burro City.
Yeah, buddy. All right, when we come back, our master rod builder from downtown Payson, where I'm thinking the weather today is probably a little nippy.
That's fine.
Yeah.
The soon-to-be commissioner.
Well, the morning's kind of damp. I'm not worried about cutting the grass. Left my truck at the boat ramp and my boat is full of gas. My old boss thinks I'm sick today. He won't have me to harass. 'Cause I'm out here on the river and he can kiss my big old bass. Kiss my
Everybody's
bass.
saying James Gilgan Hour from downtown Payson, where I'm thinking the weather's probably a little cool this morning, brother.
You're right, Don. A little brisk up here, and a lot of frost on the truck out there. Let me add my name to the long list of congratulations on your award last night. Had a great time, Dolores and I, at the banquet, and can't think of a guy that deserves the award more. So, congratulations.
Well, I appreciate that, James, and as you know, I wanted to say my thank you to you for being a big part of Shake, Rattle, and Troll. You have been for a long time, and will be in the future. You're a good man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate that.
All right, so what's happening on the Mother Lake?
Yeah, I'm listening through your website here, and a lot of things that your guests are saying are absolutely relevant at Roosevelt. The first thing is there's a lot of water flow into the lake because of the rain that we had last weekend and early part of last week.
Okay, so we've got another situation where we have two different currents.
Exactly right.
One coming in from the Salt, one coming up from the Tonto.
Yep, the Tonto and the Salt River, I just checked this morning, and they're both flowing at about 150% of their normal rates for this time of year. So that's good water coming into the lake. But probably more importantly, what's happening at Roosevelt is that our water temperature is falling below that 50-degree mark.
Wow.
And every bass fisherman knows that 50 degrees is a significant number because that's where the metabolism of the bass slows pretty dramatically and fishing gets slow. This past week, we've seen more fish in deeper water, just like Jerry Tate was telling us there, we're seeing fish suspended in 150 feet of water down there by the dam now, and they will always be below a big school of shad. But that's kind of the pattern that they follow this time of year, is that water temperature dips below 50 degrees.
Hang on a second, Jerry. How deep will a largemouth actually go?
I've caught them at 100 feet. So, as far as I know, as long as they adjust their bladders on down, they can go just as deep as they want to, as long as there's oxygen. You have to remember they have to have oxygen in that water, oxygen content.
Sure. Okay. All right, James. Thanks.
I'm surprised our water temp is about 5 degrees warmer than Roosevelt right now. I wonder why.
That's because of the cold snow melting temperatures.
Water runoff, okay.
Exactly right. We talked last week about how the water had a greenish tint to it, and I was fishing with one of our pros up here last week, and he was saying that that's the color of the water in the wintertime because of the snow melting and the nutrients coming into the lake, and it's definitely got that greenish cold tint to it.
So what you're saying, you're hanging out with Clifford Perch?
Yes. Yes, sir.
That's good company.
Yeah, it is. School's in session.
Hey, so as a result of that, the anglers that I talked to this week, they have slowed down dramatically. Most guys that are fishing structure or covers in deeper water, and deeper water now is in the 35 feet range. They're talking drop shots, Texas rigs, or jigs, fishing them on the bottom and moving them very slowly or not at all. That seems to be the pattern. Those deeper fish that are suspended in the deeper water, casting spoons are still working pretty well. Talked to a guy that was, when they get on a school of those, they talk about how many they can catch on consecutive casts. So we're hearing like 10, 12 fish being caught on consecutive casts on spoons, just letting them fall down through the school of shad. They think it's a shad that's dying and falling to the bottom, and the bass will run right up and grab that. The other thing...
I think you just get a nerve. Tater's getting a twitch over here.
You're absolutely right.
Now, on your cripple herring, do you like to put a little bend in it?
Always.
Okay.
You know what? Talking about that is, I've been throwing the wrong color this whole time. Jerry showed me a secret.
We weren't going to tell you that.
And I overnighted that color, so I'm ready to rock. Yeah.
This time of the year, that color is good.
Yeah. Okay, we're done.
No, I'm not. Forget it, Pat. I'm not telling them what color that is.
I think we all probably know anyway.
Never mind.
and then the other thing, and I know, there's always going to be some bass that just, for whatever reason, they stay shallow. And we're still seeing that at Roosevelt. In the afternoon, if you're fishing a sunny cove and the water temperature heats up even a degree or two, it seems like a insignificant amount of water change, but all of a sudden, it'll light up, and crankbaits and jerkbaits can be very successful. Up at Roosevelt Lake, an area like around Rock Creek, which you wouldn't expect this time of year to see much happening in there. You get in there in the afternoon about 2 o'clock, and you'll be surprised at how much activity is going on there. It's a short period of time, might only be for an hour or so that they come up there to feed. But definitely something to check out in the afternoon, especially on a day like today where the wind is low and we don't have much cloud cover.
All right, so basically what we're learning and hearing you say, J.K., is there's no sense in launching before noon.
I agree.
Right?
I like to sleep in anyway. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, you hit the Waffle House, the Dunkin' Donuts, yeah. Just like Alabama.
Networking, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, the crappie anglers are telling me that they are definitely trolling for crappie this time of year. Some guys, every now and then, they have a good day. They come in and they talk about catching 10 to 15 crappie and a couple hours of fishing in the morning. The thing that's a little unique is that those crappie are deep. They're saying 10 to 20 feet depth is where they're trolling, but closer to 30. So they're down deeper than normal. It seems like for this time of year.
Are they still hanging out, clustered around the trees and what have you?
Yep. Yeah. Around if you take an area like Windy Hill, Don, where you can fish it from one ramp or all the way around to the other ramp, but all along there is a lot of structure. And
I just love trolling through the trees.
That's where they're in there. And the other thing that I wanted to remind everybody, because I'm a fishing rod kind of guy. If you're trolling for crappie, you want to have a moderate or slow action fishing rod. A fast action or a stiff rod, using a trolling technique, you're going to lose more crappie than you're probably going to put it.
You'd be ripping some lips off.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. The other thing is, for anybody coming up north, going up on the rim, we're starting to hear about closures of roads, lakes, and streams as you move up onto the rim. So we're telling everybody, check the road conditions before you go up there, because some of them are still closed. And if you're going to a certain lake, call the grocery store or call a gas station up in that area to get the latest updates before you go up there. The worst thing would be to take the family up there and then find out that the lake is closed or the road's closed getting into it.
Well, either that or they can go to the SRT website. We've got your home phone number going to be pasted up there just in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
Call center.
Do it, Doug.
Yeah, can I get it up there?
Yeah. Just kidding, James.
That's all right.
All right, what else? How about any information on trout?
Trout fishing, we kind of laugh down here at Green Valley. I've told you before about the same 4 or 5 guys who catch 90% of the trout out of Green Valley.
Yeah.
I stop down and see them at least once a week just to see how the fishing's going. And one of them was listening to your show last week. He's like, "Hey, are you that guy on the Shake, Rattle, and Troll talking about Green Valley?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Don't be giving away our secrets down there." But, it's part of Green Valley Lake here in Payson's part of the community fishing program at Arizona Game and Fish. They stock it every other week. And if you're ever up in this area and you want a nice community outing with your family, hit Green Valley Lake. It's a great
How
place.
about, have you seen any geese coming in there yet?
Oh, yeah. They've been around for a few months now. Every morning, right at sunrise, it seems like they go for their morning flight. And you can see 100 of them in the sky.
Yeah, that's why there's no geese at Roosevelt. They're all at Green Valley Park again this year.
You're right, Don.
I'm telling you, the Goose Flats, it ain't Goose Flats.
Yep, we got Goose Flats right here at Payson, that's for sure.
Well, James, I want to thank you again for your participation. You do an outstanding job, build a mean fishing stick, and God bless you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Don. Talk to you later.
All right, we'll talk to you next week. I'm Don McDowell here with
Special K
and
Derek Franks
and
Kate
And Captain Givens.
Man, this is like all home week. Nice.
It is.
Paint the fence, 'cause the Green Bay Packers are warming up. So could you turn it on to Channel 2? 'Cause I'm a big game hunter and a sure enough gunner, and I ain't got time for you.
Yeah, boy, that about sums it all up. Thanks for that. Captain, what are your thoughts on football?
So, football, believe it or not, and I know this is true because I read it on the internet. Football,
Yeah, that's the 21st Century Reader's Digest.
Football was invented by hunters many, many moons ago.
Why is that?
Because they wanted to keep all the jackasses and morons out of the woods during hunting season. So your hunts aren't getting screwed up.
I like that.
Is there anything we can do with quads?
You're back to the paintball.
There you go. But think about it. You can sit in your deer stand or in your blind and listen to the football game with an earbud in. You can't go to a stadium with a bunch of drunken debauchery going on and listen to hunting. That just doesn't work.
That's a point well taken.
That comes from upper command.
It's good logic.
Captain said it. You better believe it. If not,
It's cast in stone now.
yep. That's where you go, Cap. I ain't doing 200 push-ups. Yeah. All righty, good. All right, we're going to get this thing wrapped up and get on with our day. What's your phone number and email address, contact, PLC?
Phone number for American Hero Adventures, 541-968-4170. Email is info@AmericanHeroAdventures.org. And then our website is just AmericanHeroAdventures.org. And you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And before we get off air, Don, I wanted to thank you. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the inside of your studio, but I've been on a few different radio shows throughout the country, and never have I been to one where the members of the studio bring in the American flag and post it in their studio during their talk show to pay tribute to our fallen soldiers. Nor have I ever seen one that does a roll call to pay tribute to our fallen soldiers and those who've given their life and sacrificed. So I want to thank you as a vet, a combat wounded vet, and a patriot myself. Thank you for your commitment, your patriotism, and your wherewithal to make sure that we're recognized for what we do and getting us out there in the woods. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Nice. All right, Scooter. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Website, phone number.
Well, if you would like some fishing-specific cheap entertainment, you can go to stripersnatcher.com.
Whoa. In entertainment?
There one P in the entertainment.
Okay.
This time.
Nice.
Yeah. My phone number is 480-259-2931.
You're killing me, man.
If anyone wants to do a fishing trip, it'll be the time of your life. So Derek Franks will be signing off now.
Well, wait, I have a couple more questions. Do you use a whole anchovy, or do you?
No, he does not.
Do you chop anchovy?
Chops. He's a chopper.
Well, during the summer when I'm catching the bigger ones at night, I use a half of one.
Oh, that's right. You've been there and done that.
Yes, I have.
With the snatcher himself.
That's right.
And that's a whole nother story. It's good.
Having JK in your boat?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're going to leave that one.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
That's a whole show by itself.
It'll be on the night radio show. Yeah.
The Naked Truth.
The Naked Truth.
Yeah. You know, you're not guiding anymore?
That's correct, Don.
You just want to give out your home phone number so you can be harassed?
Everybody has it.
Okay.
My cards are still floating around out there.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. There isn't a week go by that I don't get at least 10 to 15 calls, either from people wanting to fish, so I recommend them to someone else, or they want information, which I'm willing to share.
How long did you guide? I know you've been on Pleasant since 1961.
15, 18 years, something
Really?
like that. I never look at years. I never look at my age. You know, I don't look at...
I'm not either, man. My life's flying by like a drunk Friday night, man.
Yeah.
What is going on?
So that's a metaphor.
Yeah.
It's a fact, Jack.
But no, I'll help just about anybody. There's no problem. If you need a guiding license, I know one guy called me this week about getting his guide license, and I answer some of their questions and some of the
fishing
details.
guide actually has to have a license?
I didn't know that.
What a concept.
I didn't know that. But I'll still take you out safely.
I am not a part of this. I'm walking away.
All right. We're going to isolate you from that.
Oh, my goodness. Jerry, so you're retired now.
That is correct.
And where do you live?
I live in Peoria.
Do you know how to get over to Bass Pro Shop?
Oh, I'm there quite often.
Well, I think once a month, Tater needs to come over to the Arizona Deer Association.
On
Tuesdays. The third Tuesday of the month, and lend your expertise as well as your garnered wisdom over the ages so that you can help the Arizona Deer Association.
Well, I'll be glad
In
to.
fact, if you'd like to be at my home port about 1,600 hours,
On Tuesday, this
we'll
coming
take
Tuesday.
the 04 transport and
We'd love to have you come out to the board meeting this year.
All righty. I'd be glad to do it.
We've been good. We're seeing. Okay, you heard it on the air. He's locked and loaded. He's going to be at our board meeting on Tuesday night.
Well, hopefully we'll have one of your brother and Command Sergeant Major Denton from the 158.
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
And we got Amber Munig. We're going to have Dennis Fogel, and we may have
How long are you going to be
some
in town,
information there.
This duration, I'll be here till Monday, and then I go to SHOT Show but I'll be back February, March, April, and May. In
It's
fact,
really tough to go to the SHOT Show, isn't it?
it is, but somebody's got to do it. I brought my good walking shoes and my knee brace, so I think I can handle it.
Yeah.
But we'll be back here in March for the Outdoor Expo at the Ben Avery Range. So we'll be working with Glock and with
I'm
Stay
going to shoot you an email. We have an event week before theirs, March 13, 14, 15th, Bill Luke Bass Days, 17th annual. You need to be there.
All right, let's get down on it.
Yep. Bring some of your soldiers.
I will.
We've got Phil Tumbleson from Heroes on the Water. Have you hooked up with him yet?
I have not, but I do have a couple friends that just posted some photos down, I think, in Florida. They were doing some kayak fishing.
Well, we've got a chapter here that's doing quite well. I've been out with them a few times, and went out and cooked some burgers and did some stuff for them.
Great.
Raised some money through one of my sponsors, Mustang Survival. They have 12 inflatable PFDs.
Nice.
If you fall out of your kayak, you will float.
That's good.
And what I've learned about those, don't try to wash them in the wash machine. That's a bad
Or get in
thing.
a water gun fight.
Yeah. That sounds kind of fun. JK, quit rubbing your head.
Maybe that's the target. You got to shoot your buddy's inflating device.
There are moments when I leave this show that I have a bad headache, and this is starting to get to be one of them.
Really?
Wow. I will say I'm looking forward to guiding JK at Bill Luke Bass Days because we're going to do some media ops on that, and it may turn into Saturday Night Live, but it'll be raw, whatever it is. I'm looking forward to that.
That's why we have Master Sergeant out there following you guys around.
Yeah. We need all the help we can get.
Okay. Any shouts out for the ADA, Mr. President?
Our board meeting is Tuesday night this week, and we're not going to be at we're not going to be over at Bass Pro Shops this year. This month we're going to be over at 96th Street and Cactus at the fire department, which is where Mr. Dave Bruns is going to be. So we're going to make sure that if he goes on a call, we can still hold a meeting.
All righty. That's it. Check out the SRT website, shakerattleandtroll.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Like us on Facebook or not. I'm Don McDowell with
Special K,
Derek Franks,
Jerry Tate,
Captain Givens.
Take your kids fishing, hug your bass boat, salute a soldier. We're out of here, man.